The two aspects of a character's psyche. The goal of writing a character is to have them resemble humanity. Well, I'm basing this off the assumption that the character is human. But even if they, it, z, whatever pronoun a character uses, even if the character is not human, what matters in creating an appeal for the reader is the humanity in a character. Art imitates life, and most of the life that we live as humans is only available to us through our minds. Our perception, our interpretation, our field of view, that's what we know about. And so, the key to writing a good narrative, and by extension, good dialogue, is to know a character's psyche. And while this video is sort of based in the theories of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and psychoanalysis, because that's where the term psyche really assumed the connotation that it has today, I want to apply this theory to the characters that are being created instead of humans that are being studied. So let's get into it. The two aspects of a character's psyche are: first, desire. Call it aid, call it desire, call it shadow, call it goal, whatever it is, it implies something that the character wants. It doesn't have to be material, or actually, it would be preferable if it weren't material. Sure, there's nothing wrong with your protagonist wanting a treasure trove or to marry the man of their dreams, but human desire isn't usually dependent solely on material objects. Let's take a brief look into what Freud calls the id. It's the animalistic part of the human personality hidden in the recesses of the consciousness that stores your basic desires, and according to Freud, they're often horrifying and hence repressed. It functions on the principle of pleasure. Freud meant it in a completely different context, but here I mean pleasure is anything that satisfies a character in life. Taking our earlier examples, the person looking for a treasure may associate the treasure with acquiring money and thus material benefits like a house, car, power, etc., which would give them security. So ultimately, this sense of security would be that character's desire. Or the person marrying the man of their dreams, they may be looking for love, which would make being loved their ultimate desire. Of course, humans aren't two dimensional enough to just have one desire, but they do have primary and secondary desires which could be explored as a part of the character's mind. Second, fear. Everyone has fears. If you search your own mind for fears, you'll probably come up with a list of them. I, for one, am scared of rats, of spiders, of people coming up to me with no warning, of public speaking, but these are all surface level fears. What we're trying to dig into are the real fears, the kind that you don't even realize you have. Stuff like fear of losing someone, fear of death, fear of being perceived as good or bad or nice or evil. You can add any adjective here, really. Or fear of loneliness. You could call it conscience, the way Freud calls the superego. It's the part of your psyche that's absolutely in tune with the outer world. It's like that voice inside your head saying, "But what will people think?" Although it's not exactly what we're talking about here. The common point between the fear mentioned here and the superego is that they stop the character from acting on their unfiltered desires. Like, imagine if a character wants to be powerful and their first instinct is to walk up to their boss and demand to take their position. That would probably get anyone fired. But what stops the character from pursuing this desire for power, even in a milder form, is, say, their fear of failure. They keep thinking about what would happen if they did acquire a position of power and failed miserably at executing the duties that come with it. It's what creates the clashes in the character's internal monologue, and that brings us to conflict. The two elements of the character's psyche, the desire and the fear, clash amongst each other and basically create the plot. For example, in Little Women, Jo's desire is to be herself, to be independent, to earn a living, and to support her sisters. Her fear is not being accepted as she is, and losing her sisters, losing her family. So, throughout the novel, she continues creating strains in her relationship by projecting her fear onto her sisters and Laurie, like trying to convince Meg not to marry, or by telling Laurie that he won't like her as a wife because she's not homely enough, not a good woman. The other way that she creates the narrative is by chasing her desires, like moving to New York, writing and publishing, meeting her future husband, and making him admire her for who she is. Every human functions on these paradigms of desire and fear, and thus, to invoke humanity in a character, the character should emulate this through their words and actions. This makes the character human, and thus someone who allows readers to recognize their own follies and desires. Because literature is meant to be a mirror for humanity. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe.